Ooh, what's up, jobbers, and welcome to the latest edition of the Jobber Knocker podcast. As always, is Nestlemania alongside for the ride is a man that, well, would probably put on a lucha mask and attack me from behind and then say, gracias, JC.
That was a lot of fun, wasn't it, huh? We talked about that a little bit in recent weeks, and I love the backstage thing with Kathy Kelly. Was it Kathy Kelly? It was Kathy
Yes,
Kelly,
it was. How could you forget?
Well, just like, her and Jackie are just so great, and they do such a good job. I can't always, remember, but that was a great segment. That was very well done.
It was something else. I'll say that much. Something else for sure. Anyway, we've got a lot to talk about here. We've got, of course, the regular part of the show, but there's also some AEW we should probably get
into.
Little
revolution that we'll get into later. Yeah.
Revolution is a mystery. I know it's evolution. I just couldn't help myself, but love that song.
I do the same thing. It's a great song.
Anyway, you know what? We always start in the shine, JC, so I'll let you start off.
We probably should start in the shine. Nestlemania. I'm going to Raw. I'm going to the main event. Yeah, I'm putting a steel cage match in my shine because this is the thing that I hate about steel cage matches most. Nestlemania. What is it?
That it's a feud ender that's not really a feud ender. You have to escape, but they do the pin and the
yeah. Well, it's the thing where you can walk out a door and win in WWE, and immediately CM Punk and Seth Rollins set the tone. We're like, you can walk out the door if you want, but I want to hurt you. And I was like, boom, problem solved. Neither of them were interested in escaping. They teased it a couple times, but they wanted to hurt each other. That's why they were in a cage. The other thing I don't love is how constricting it can be, but I thought these two did a good job of really using the cage to its betterment and like really selling that, like, no, we legitimately want to be locked in here together. Because a lot of times on a steel cage match, it's like you kind of get that, but it's like with the escape option, it's like, well, someone might want to escape. No, both these guys wanted to be in there. They want to hurt each other. They want to punish each other. I thought it was a good match solidly, but obviously the reason why it's kicking off the show is because, as expected, our tribal chief, Y2C, OTC, whatever the fuck TC.
Y2K, whatever.
Yeah, he came out and he beat the fuck out of Seth Rollins because he's mad at Sethy Boy for what happened at the Rumble. And then this is the part that I love Nestlemania because I think we're finally getting answers and solving some mysteries here. He looks in the ring, and who is consoling CM Punk? Paul Heyman, his guy. And that sets off Roman, and he goes after Punk. And I love this because immediately the wheels start turning. I'm like, okay, we're getting that rumored triple threat at Mania. I'm all for it. But I'm like, this is how I think you use the favor. Because what does CM Punk love to do with people in Nestlemania? Play mind games. How do you play mind games with Roman Reigns? His favor could potentially be, I want Paul Heyman in my corner for the match. Imagine what that would do to Roman, because Roman and Seth sells and stuff. CM Punk and Seth sells and stuff. CM Punk and Roman clearly have a history, but like, what brings it up to the level of those other two type feuds? Something like that, using the wise man. So it's at least like, okay, rather than just like shoehorning himself into a title match or something, it's like, this is something I could buy. But it's just like, I was excited for these three guys because I'm like, you know what? It's one of those things. None of these guys are going for the title this year. I love that they're just kind of going at each other.
So I thought, no hyperbole, I was just fascinated with this matchup because I felt like we've heard this before from Michael Cole, especially when he was on the Pat McAfee show, and as well as he was on Logan Paul's podcast about how they're really leaning hard into the paint about the storytelling aspect of the character work and on Raw, because that's what Netflix wants. Not necessarily doing all the wrestling moves. There's plenty of wrestling moves to do, whatever. But the cage match to me, and I was watching this from a psychology standpoint, just the idea of just not going for the pin immediately, then not going for the door, as you stated, was such a really nice touch. And then they brought their A games for all these falsies. I mean, obviously they've kind of beaten to death the GTS and the Stomp can't put people away, which isn't necessarily a good thing.
Yeah, however, the Stomp died in Saudi Arabia many years ago to the feed.
Right, of course. But I will just say that's the one detriment of, I guess, that argument if you could make it that way. However, I really enjoyed the storytelling aspect of this. Again, thought it was amazing because what I thought about what was great about this entire thing was that the finish was so well done because what it was Seth wasn't done with him and Roman took him out. So he won by proxy, but not really. And I love that aspect of like, I won, but you still look like a little bitch, which is going to work for his character. Roman gets his shit back. Punk gets his advocate or his best friend or whatever you want to say back for him. So I feel like all the things are in motion here and watching everybody kind of fall into place. And I think that's the best part about these three characters is they're very distinct in their own way and they bring something different to the table. No pun intended. it's really interesting to see what's going to happen at WrestleMania, because I have a feeling, based on what's going to happen here, if I had to guess, I feel like Punk's going to win this one.
I think so too, because I think he'll be the number one contender coming out of Mania, and then you can do Punk Cody if you want.
Right. I think something's going to happen with Punk here, because
Punk Cody, whatever you want.
Because I just don't think they're not gonna pull the Roman Reigns thing right away. They're not gonna. That's a major down the line.
He doesn't have to get pinned here either. So
exactly, and I think that's why Seth is in there, unfortunately, which sucks. But the other thing I am looking forward to is the potential for that 1 second where they just go, you know what, we fucking both hate Punk. Let's put him through a table. You know, like that's what you want to see somewhere in the next 6 weeks or 5 weeks or whatever it is. I think that's one of those things, because you've heard a couple times Roman Reigns say it, but more importantly, Rollins say it. He's like, yeah, I don't like Roman Reigns, but there's still love there. And I'm like, all right, well, you know, it brings together some love.
There'll be a Shield moment for sure.
Yeah,
in that match.
Absolutely. But it's so fun. It's just like so much fun. I don't know. And our boy, the Joe Stopper, saying, I honestly thought I'd rather see Drew in the place of Punk. That's why you're not booking Joe. Now? Sorry. Yeah,
Punk's the glue that keeps, like, Seth and Roman is great, but like adding Punk to it, it just like it makes this where it's like this is one of the top 3 matches at WrestleMania.
I agree, because I think here's the thing. I don't necessarily think Roman Reigns is bad on the mic. Obviously, he's very good in this character. I'm not so sure on Roman Reigns talking and then Rollins talking in a rebuttal that I'm going to feel like there's an equality here.
Yeah.
But when there's 3 people and then you add the dynamic of a Heyman doing some promo work, I think they're going to cover up that Rollins isn't necessarily up to snuff with the other 3 people. So I feel like this is going to accentuate the positive and hide the negatives here. So I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I really do not know if it's going to end night 1.
It either ends night 1 or starts night 2, I feel like that makes the most sense.
I don't know. I mean, the Jey Uso thing feels like, you've said before, it could be right off the rip, or it could end.
It feels like the night ender for night 1 though, because it kind of sets the tone for the weekend, and it gives the crowd, like, they can just eat for like 20 minutes after the match. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then it's just like, it feels like it, but this match, it just, I mean, who knows? They could save it for later, but this feels like a great way to kick off night 2 and really just be like, we're into it. Like, any of these 3 guys, you hit their music first in that place, it sets the tone. So
fair enough. What else did you enjoy?
We can go over to SmackDown, because I thought SmackDown had a stronger week than they normally do. And we know we can just kind of combine SmackDown and Raw, because poor Cody's on Cody Island right now because there's no Cena yet. So he has to do all the work. And Nestlemania, you know how I feel about Cody. He's superb. Everything he does has reason. Everything he says has reason. The pacing he does is some of the best. The references to history and moments. And it's just, I don't know. I enjoyed the SmackDown one. I did think that it was a little long. The Raw one was more concise, and I love the way he ended it with the punctuation. But it just like, it was like, okay, this was like the bridge that it needed to be. And next week we're getting Cena back, and that's exciting.
Somebody put this out there, and it would be such a good heel thing to do when you're advertised, is you only show up via satellite. Like, that would be such the antithesis of the hustle, loyalty, respect, show up and do your work.
That would actually be kind of funny, especially because they're in Belgium.
Yes. And I think that'd just be really funny based on like what's going to happen. I am so interested to see what his look is going to be. Like the whole presentation of what the music is, what his wrestling gear is. Is he going to show up in a suit? Is he going to shave his head? Is he going to protect the bald spot? Is he going to wear sunglasses? Is he going to wear some chains? We're going to be talking about the representation of what he looks like for an hour on the program when we finally see it, I think, because it's very telling to me, because I think we've talked about this before, but I do think he is going to see the light probably in November, December, before he says goodbye.
Probably before then, honestly.
It's going to be a long stretch. It's going to be at least 3 months or 4 months of him just being a complete asshole. And I cannot wait, because I think based on his work, it's going to be a lot of fun. And I think Cody's clicking right now, which is wonderful. I really enjoyed the SmackDown promo because it was Philadelphia is a hard town to get love. Yep. And I thought he did a tremendous job about talking about his dad being nervous about being in Philadelphia. And then you guys chose me. Yes. Like, I just thought that was such a great connective tissue for him, because he's so good. I know his dad's his dad. His dad's one of the best to communicate, but he's doing such a good job continuously, like doing a great job making the crowd stand behind him. The one thing I will say that, and I put it in my notes here, and it was because it was the Raw promo, which again, still a good promo. I love the "I'm the captain now" thing. Like that was a great punctuation soundbite for the, for the whole thing. But the one thing, and I know you're probably thinking I'm reading into this way too much, JC. I was feeling really good about Friday on SmackDown. Thought he did a tremendous job. Then on Monday, as he's talking, it went from, they're just chanting Cena sucks, and then like they're cheering him, which I bought into, totally okay. But then the barometer in my brain switched a little bit when all I heard was "Let's go Cena, Cena sucks." And I was like, in any other situation, I'd be perfectly fine with it. It's what we're used to for the last 20 plus years. But it bothered me because it should have been "Let's go Cody, Cena sucks."
Yeah,
but I know you're going to say that it's going to be split no matter what, because people want the fans and shit to, be smart.
It's heel Cena. It's like, this is what we've been asking for forever. So if you're in a crowd, like, you know what I mean? It just, it's so polarizing. And obviously, like, Cody gets fucking his thing son. He gets the woes, like, he owes all that. But like, when you're referencing Cena, there's going to be the smart marks that are happy about Cena. And there's obviously going to be the kids and everyone who's like, no, Cena sucks now. So just like, that doesn't bother me. And I think that's, especially in this feud, it's like, there's a reason why this feud is going to be super special, because this really is. It's like they've been looking for the next quote unquote John Cena type guy for how long has it been? Like a decade? Mm-hmm. And now they have it. So it's just like, but it's like the other guy's still fucking John Cena, and he just did something that everyone's been asking him to do for 15 years. So I think it's one of those things, you're going to get it. And the Philadelphia was always a worry, but like you said, the way he did it and he phrased it and he set himself up for success, it's just like, that's what I mean with Cody. He's so meticulous and he gets it. He pays attention to those things, and he knows how to interweave things because he knows how to get what he needs to get.
Fair enough. I like I said, thought it was very impressive from a communication standpoint. I thought he did a fantastic job this week, and that's tough. Not everybody can do it.
Yeah. From communicating Nestlemania, we're going to meet because Braun was about to pin Solo. Tama attacked, and out comes Yahoo Fatu, and I'm just like, Braun and Jacob. Every time they look at each other, my meat barometer explodes.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Oh, my God. It is just, it's like, they're going to have another one, and it's going to be so great. But it's just like, this is the violence I'm hoping for, because Jacob's becoming a star. He hopefully will get a singles match at WrestleMania. I know you don't think Solo deserves it, but to me, it's like Jacob Solo makes sense, and it's Jacob's moment to go over Solo and solidify himself and kind of like put himself on an island. But to get there, getting Jacob and Braun 1 to 2 times more, my meats are going to be very sweaty and excited.
Some might say you might have the meat sweats.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? I will say this much. I love the aspect of just them just beating the shit out of each other. And then watching the choke slam through the tables, and he like gets up, and you're just like, anybody else, that's a regular thing, but it's so effective when you do it that way. It just screamed like, holy good goddamn. Like this was so much fun. Like I just love the way that they book Jacob Fatu overall. I think they've done an immaculate job with his character, and it's obviously him, but like, it helps that you're being booked a certain way too.
100%. I'm going to flip back over to Raw. Cool with that?
Fine, go for it.
Because you mentioned it off the top, and we got to talk about it, because New Day and LWO were having a very fun match, as expected, but out comes the Luchador to cost the LWO and help the New Day get the win, which they need to get that heat. And it's just like, we referenced the backstage promo, but it's like, this is what we wanted out of this, because it's one of those things like, I think Gable can lean into a little bit of the goofiness, because that is one of his major strengths, and still be taken seriously because he's that damn good. And this is kind of like that paradox that we talked about last week. And I thought it was the perfect representation of it, because it's like, this is just good, compelling television. And it's just like, it's enough where it's like, it's going to be a good feud, because he's going to be feuding with Rey and Dragon and all the luchadors, but eventually lead back to Penta. But it's also just like, we still get a little bit of the goofy Gable, which I love so much. So to me, this was a home run.
I got to be honest with you. I was going to put this in my heat, but
really,
because here's the thing, and hashtag no fun Nestle.
You didn't like the look, did you?
I did. I thought the mask was ugly as fuck.
It is very ugly, but I love that it's an American Alpha, and he's like denying it.
Yeah, I will say this much. No Senor Mr. America. Oh, Jesus. No Senor America mask. Um, I look at it this way. I think he's done a great, he being Gable. I think he's been doing a great job over the last year or two, trying to rebuild his credibility and having these amazing matches and then doing what he's been doing. He should have won the IC title in my mind. There's other things he can accomplish. We know he's goofy and we know he can take the goofiness. But I am concerned that that's how they see him. And I know that's probably wrong, but I didn't get a good feeling about it because the mask looked ugly to me, which will probably lend itself to be fine. I'm going to hold out complete judgment about it. I just didn't get a good feeling. Like, obviously, it's good television. Obviously, anybody in that role could do it. He was picked for a reason because he can have amazing matches. But as you were saying it, and I'm kind of talking myself out of being an asshole here, when you were describing it, I was like, well, shut the fuck up, Adam, because Kurt Angle could go be goofy with a cowboy hat and then go fucking break somebody's, ankle. So like in my head, I'm like, I should just shut the fuck up. Is what I should.
It's one of those things like Gable's not going to be a world champion like Angle. He's going to forever be in that mid card, which is fine. He's very good at it. So it's just like to survive in the mid card and be as effective as he can be. Like, yes, the wrestling, we know what it is with him, but the reason why he set himself apart is being able to lean into this comedy a little bit because it does call for it sometimes. And as the heel, he does have to look like an asshole every now and then. So it's just like it's one of the, that's why I like him and the Creeds together, because Brutus is kind of the same way. He's such a fucking goofball, but it's like he can at least learn some things from Gable. So like when I need to take him seriously, he can channel his brother Julius. You know what I mean? So it just it's one of those, like, I think especially in the mid card, it's such a necessity. And I mean, look, he's going to be feuding with Ray, Dragon, and Penta mostly. Like those are all high level feuds and high level matches. So I'm not worried about him at all.
The more I think about it, I feel like we're headed to some weird thing where it's like Dragon Lee, Rey Mysterio, Penta, and Phoenix against Gable, the two doofuses and the tidy whities, and then some other, random person that they're having.
Probably this feels like it could be a 6 to 8 person tag match at maybe, which whatever. Like that's how they get on the card. That's how they get on the card.
I didn't mind the Lucha Rules match, by the way. The no tag tornado. I thought that was fine. Honestly, I
love tornado tags. I think they're so much more effective.
I think they are too, especially if you don't do it all the time, which they don't. Yes. So I think that's important too. But I think the one thing I will say is that there was, and I'm not, you're going to say what you're going to say, and that's fine. I just thought that was a fantastic tag match in general. But there was a point in there when it was Kofi and Rey Mysterio, and I was like, these guys just click. There's something about Kofi.
Two Hall of Fame legends, first ballot, like studs. Yeah. Oh, well, apparently I pissed him off because he just ducked out.
I don't know what the heck's going on here. That's weird.
Are we back? Are we live?
I don't know what the hell happened there, but there we are.
Did I get kicked or did you get kicked?
We both got kicked.
Oh, okay. I was still here by myself, so I don't know. Chad, you have to tell us what happened there.
Yeah, it was weird. I don't know. Yeah. Never had that before. This computer is going to die a slow death. So here we go. But I just thought it was interesting because I felt like Kofi and Ray did a great job. So I just thought that was really, really, truly fun. I mean, obviously, I'm not shitting on the other two, but just thought that they.
Well, it's just like those are two, like Rey Mysterio's are a Hall of Fame, like Kofi's the first ballot. Like those are two of the most decorated guys in WWE history. So yeah, of course. So then the reason why I put that there was because the next thing I have, I think, is kind of a transition piece because I think we both have mixed things about it. So do you have any other shine before we get to that?
No, we can go to whatever you want.
All right. So we obviously on SmackDown, we had the big storyline piece of Naomi and Bianca in the ring together. And I hadn't seen this yet because I started late, and then I did see your comments on Twitter about it. And I kind of it was, for me, I was very mixed on this segment because there were parts of it that I thought were incredibly effective and good television. But there obviously was some overacting, but it kind of takes away from it a little bit. But at the end of the day, for me, when I looked at this segment, I did really like the motivation. Because I think it still leaves the door open for more, but it also makes sense from Naomi's perspective. And I thought her best part of this segment was the slow turn she did during the segment till by the end where she was just completely heelish and completely making it being and she called her the ungrateful bitch. It felt more effective because she eased herself into it. I thought Bianca was probably the bigger weakness in this segment because she had the hardest role to play. And I think she does in this whole feud because you're between two friends, and it's not that you're faking it, but it's like it's such a hard emotion to do. Like even professional actors, you watch a movie with like similar type things, like you can see right through it a lot of the time. So I think she's in the toughest position, and that's probably why. But I still thought the segment, like I like the crux of it. I do think the overacting took away of it, but Nestlemania, when Jada Rowe arrived in that outfit, I had to keep that in the shine. Good golly Molly. Whew. That was the real winner of the segment, was that outfit. But yeah, no, I'm curious your overall takes, and now that you've had like a few days to digest it, because it was a lot to take in, and I do think that it was a very mixed segment.
Look, there's a lot of people here who have said some stuff, so I'll say so. The Joe Stopper, I thought it was going to be a great segment, then it just wouldn't end, which I tend to agree. They took a long time. Yeah. They took a long time. Yes, and I'm not going to put what, of course, our boy the backcracker put in there because I know better. However, I will say this much: in theory, it had to. A-Town down. In theory, it had to happen. Yes. I get it. So it was effective in that. Get him off my TV. Get him off my TV. Get him off my TV. I will go on record here as saying I think this promo proved one thing to me, is that as effective as Bianca Belair is in the ring, one of the best to do it, fantastic. Love the persona, love her aura, the whole kit and caboodle. Her biggest weakness of them all is diversity of character. She doesn't know how to emote different things well enough yet. This to me felt like, between watching Chamber and her freaking the fuck out in the chamber, like overacting like that, and then doing this, it almost felt like she was not necessarily, like, she was trying to get to the point, and it felt like, well, then tell me, it's a yes or no. Tell me, is it a yes or no? Like, it felt like she was stalling, and it felt like Naomi was ready. So it felt like Bianca was stopping the progression of Naomi, and like didn't even know that she was being a hindrance when she was doing it. So I don't think she's that good of an actress. I don't think she's that good at acting. I think she overacts with the yelling and the screaming. And again, I'm sure there's a time and a place for it. I just didn't know that. It just felt like it wasn't the right emotion in that moment for what happened, because so then she cries, she leaves, and then Jade rolls up in the Rolls Royce or whatever the fuck it was, Land Rover, and then she just stands there and she's like, go get her. And then she was fine and then walked out, and it's fine. But I just felt like there was a disconnect between Naomi, Bianca then crying to Jade, and then Jade came out, and then like Naomi's just standing there waiting for an ass whooping, and I'm just like, why wouldn't you run, bitch?
Yeah,
like,
it's the typical like wrestling where they
I know
that for effect, but yeah, no, it is painful because it's a long ramp.
That's you're just sitting there like waiting literally for a bus, and you're just like, oh, it's Jade, well, it's she's like finally here.
Guys, where everyone just it's part of it, and like I choose to mostly try to overlook it. But
Bianca Belair is a bad actor. That's what it is. Bianca Belair is a bad actor.
I do, but you would agree though that she's in the toughest spot in this feud in terms
absolutely,
of she's in that meaty white babyface spot in between two friends. It is very difficult. I'm not sure many people could pull off this role, but I do think that her performance did definitely take away from the overall effectiveness of it. But it's to say that she just can't act overall, I think is just too much of a blanket statement, because we've seen her as a heel and she was one of the best characters in NXT as that heel character. It's just like as a babyface, it's one of those things, like it's harder in this position. She just like, it's hard because she's such, her gimmick is such a confident, like cocky gimmick, but to be like this like babyface thing, it's always hard to like do that. Like a guy like KO always did it well to me, but most people like struggle with it. And like with her, like, yeah, it's one of those. She definitely, like, the stalling was a definite thing, because it was like, okay, we know what's happening here, but it's just like spit it out.
I want to say what the Joe Stopper said here. Bianca has never needed to alter her persona, even as a heel in NXT. It's been the same for Bianca. Look, I tend to agree with what Josh just said there. Who the fuck is Josh? But JC has a great point, and so does the Joe Stopper. I think that's part of it. I think that some people have range. Some people are comfortable with what they are. I think, as great as Bianca is, where she should be, there's nothing wrong with that. She's in the top echelon because she's that amazing. But if there is one thing that can get her from maybe she's 1A, 1B to being the one, then really this is it. She needs to go get some type of range in acting. She needs to figure out these roles, because we watch every week, and I think that's the reason I'm having a microscope on hers, because she's so talented. This was the
she's in the top spot, so
yeah,
there's more pressure on her.
And that's fair. That's a fair assessment. But with that criticism is because
100%.
you are in that spot.
100%.
So I think I was actually more impressed with Naomi.
Yeah, I was too.
I thought that she did a better job. I don't think she's ever really been a heel.
She hasn't. That's why why I hope for so long ago, because I'm like, this will be exciting, because Naomi, like, we've always seen that edge here and there, and you're like, we know it's there. Like, I want to see it. And that's what I love. That was why I had to teeter this promo, because to me, her progression character-wise throughout this segment, I thought was stellar. Because it started out as like, no, I'm your friend, I did it for you and whatever. But it's like you could slowly feel it start to turn. It's like, no, Naomi, you did this selfishly and you're using this. And then you get that with the delivery of the ungrateful bitch as she's walking away. And Naomi just loses her mind. It's like, okay, you just sold it. Like, we got through the bullshit, but at least, like, I got the motivation and you sold it. And, like, whatever, we got through some of the clunk. But, like, for Naomi, like, we're full speed ahead now, Naomi and Jade. And I'm excited for it.
I think I'm still holding out hope here. Because there are, if you watch that promo back, there are some things where I feel like Bianca's still part of it.
Yes, and that's why I think it was like when I said, like, early in the promo, like, they left it open for other things. I think they did leave it open where it's like maybe felt like they were overacting because they actually were. Yeah, you know what I mean? And
it's that's like
I know, but it's like in the weeds, but it's like it's one of those like I think all options are open in the Triple H era, and plus after Mania when Bianca probably. Maybe she wins. Maybe we have her, and then her as a heel would be exciting. But it's like coming out of that triple threat, we'll see how it goes. But it's like, even if she wins or loses, like, you can use that if you want to. Where maybe, like, yeah, her and Naomi were working together. They pretended not to so they could fuck up Jade eventually. You know what I mean? So it'll be interesting. But they left the door open at least a crack if they want to go there. I
will say this much: this is probably giving away something, but. We haven't talked about this, but Belair's like 5-0 at WrestleMania, so they keep the streak alive. We'll see.
Yeah, I think she might pin Io and become the new champ, because then Rhea doesn't have to take a pin and they can keep it alive. And I don't know, it just Bianca, whether she's a babyface or if they do something with the heel, I think she hasn't been a singles champion in a long time, so I wouldn't hate it.
Okay, fair enough. Let's get through some random shit here, because it is what it is. What did you think about Randy Orton's promo about being a bottom for The Rock? I thought this was a little much personally, but
so that didn't bother me. The verbiage. I love Randy Orton. He's one of my favorite of all time. I think he's one of the GOATs of all time. As a babyface, as a promo, it's always been tough for him. Like, I think he's really settled in the last couple of years because he's just so immensely popular that it works. This was a very clunky promo. But it's Randy Orton. I don't care. I forgive him because it's just nice to have him there. But this was a lot of clunk, which is why it wasn't in my shine. But
I will say one thing that he did well in this promo, which was kind of saving it from being like a complete clusterfuck, in my opinion, was when he said the thing of like, he woke up the voices in my head and I'm going to prove that I'm the best punter and that Pat McAfee's the second best punter in the WWE. I was like, okay, now I want to see what happens at WrestleMania. Unfortunately, there's 5 more weeks. So it's like, what do we do? So I feel like we're going to keep talking about this for the next 5 weeks where it's like, what do we do? Jay and Gunther, what do we do? It's like, it just feels like, at least we can talk about it here too, because I kind of said it, like the Jay match against Waller was fine, but then, the sneak attack again and the chokehold, it's like, okay, I get it. We're trying to put the seeds of doubt in there, and they're trying with it. But I think this is the one detriment of winning the Royal Rumble and then waiting like 12 weeks to fucking finally win your championship. You're rolling the dice here in terms of, I know he's super popular.
You see that entrance, bro, it ain't changing. That's what they know.
No, I know.
It's one of those, like, it is part of WrestleMania season, and this year with the WrestleMania even later, it's even bigger thing. But it's like, we know this. We go through this every year with, like, especially the women's matches where, like, it's just like whatever. But I think the way that I always try to look at WrestleMania season is there's so many matches that they obviously have the banner ones they put out early, but it's like a lot of the legwork for the TV leading up is you saw the big pinnacle moment with Roman and Seth and them this week. And like, you saw the pinnacle moment on SmackDown with Bianca. And so it's just like, it's as long as there's pieces of good of all these feuds every week, I think it's fine. But yeah, like Jay is going to you can't take them off TV because you're going to have to do that entrance. I think next week he's fighting Theory in Belgium. It'll be interesting to see Gunther's reaction over there. But yeah, no, I completely understand the criticism. This shit's probably going to be in the heat every week for us, but I think it's one of those things like it just like whatever. It's like they're doing this for the moment and we just gotta wait for the moment.
Yeah, I don't know. It just left a weird taste in my mouth as I was watching because I thought it was a decent match. I was thinking, oh, here comes Jay doing a decent job. They're on the outside's doing good. Waller's doing a great job.
Waller's a stud. He makes everyone look good.
But I was just like, God damn it. Like, come on, just fucking whatever. Something that I'm not really interested about was this Charlotte BFAB interaction. I was just thinking to myself, good. I'm sorry, Danny.
Interesting choice for her return match.
Interesting choice indeed. And I went in big letters, oh no, this is not going to work.
Oh, I love BFAB. I'm rooting for her. I hope she has a good performance.
I hope to Christ that Charlotte just slows the fuck down and actually helps this rudimentary person learn some wrestling because I think she's doing better. But when you put her up against Charlotte Flair, they're going to be
a big step up. It's a big step up, and it's Charlotte's first televised match back. So,
and I'm hoping here's the thing. I'm hoping that BFAB has been working on stuff at the flatbacks with Tyler Breeze and all that stuff, and because we see Charlotte doing it, so maybe they've just been crossing paths and they have some type of chemistry and everything will be okay. That's what I'm praying for. I really hope I don't come on here next week on Wednesday at 8:00 and say, "Oh my God, what a fucking fraud! They exposed her." Like I don't want to think that because that's my knee-jerk reaction that's going to happen. I can already predict it.
She's 100% gotten better, but I don't think she's ever going to be a mat technician. That's not.
No, I'm not asking for her to be a mat technician. I think
she spent a lot of time with Natalia and TJ, like in the dungeon. So she's definitely like things that she was like in the same boat as Maxine, where they just like got called up before they were ever really trained. But I like we've seen improvement in her other matches, but it's never going to be out there and be like, oh yeah, BFAB with a 5-star special. That'll never happen.
Okay. I'm just going to put this here because I don't know where else to put it. We got a new U.S. champion, and I don't give a shit. I'll be honest.
We talked about it last week. I said, you know what? Nakamura's reign needs to end, and it's going to have to be LA Knight. I'm not going to be excited for it, but it needs to happen. At least it happened. But yeah, no, it's like whatever. It makes it like have him carried in. It'll probably be a multi-person match at WrestleMania or something like whatever. But hopefully he loses it at Mania.
Your boy's back.
Oh, the Wang game.
The Wang gang, huge Wang alert. He must be very excited for all the Rikishi stink faces that are going to happen at WrestleMania.
Rikishi's been feuding with Jade on Twitter. I don't know if you saw it, sticking up for his girl, Naomi.
Well, Rikishi's
his daughter, as he's saying, because, daughter-in-law.
Rikishi should just keep it to the podcast. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Well, that's where he runs his mouth is on the podcast, of course. Then he runs it on Twitter. But Jade had some good clapback for her.
It's fine. But yeah, I'm just not necessarily in love with the LA Knight United States Championship. The other thing, too, is like, where the fuck is Braun Breaker? Like, I get what they're doing.
He's fighting Finn Balor next week.
I know, but I feel like, do you remember, like, just before they went to Netflix, it was like Braun Breaker was just tearing through motherfuckers. Like, he was.
So, my speculation, I think he got a little injury because he hasn't even really been getting physical with anyone. It's been all segments or interviews. So it's like, to me, that screams like he must have had a little injury. And so it's just like, it's that, because to me, yeah, I agree with you. It doesn't make sense. Why would he not be like, even if he's not having matches, the beauty of Breaker is he's physical and he got a little physical here and there, but I feel like maybe he's had something. They were like, let's just get it right. And like, now he's good again.
It just seems so weird to me because that dude's a hoss.
Yeah, like, he is. But maybe they're trying to make him feel a little more special too, because he was wrestling like every week for a while. So
Wang says he's going to watch WrestleMania with me and give me a Wang face finisher.
Wayne face finisher. I don't know what that means, but that sounds dirty.
That sounds like something I am not complying to. So not happening. So it is what it is. If you want to deal with that, you'll be checking with HR. Anything else that you got?
HR department?
Well, yeah, his name's whatever. Anyway, so do you have anything else you'd like to talk about the TD, or would you like to get hopeful?
Yeah, no, the rest is just stuff like Raquel, #1 contender, which shocked me. I don't know if that shocked you, but I don't hate it.
I mean, Lyra needs to beat people for a while, so
yeah,
Raquel can slip on a banana peel. It's fine. I mean, so here's the other thing too: is I think I didn't put this in the shine. I should have. It was rough, but it was the Logan Paul promo with the comedian.
I had this in my shine, but I kind of skipped it. Yeah, because I think
the comedian did really well. I thought he's good. He's really good, and he loves wrestling. So you know what? When you're in it and you love it, it's more realistic and authentic. So I'm okay with it. I thought Logan Paul did a great job. But the one thing I was very impressed with was like, oh, AJ Styles is going to become a household. I mean, he was already a household name, obviously, from what the WWE standard is.
This match, these two are going to do some crazy shit.
I bet AJ Styles is going to be like, dude, if you're going to do a springboard, Here's how you fucking springboard. You know, so I expect some serious.
AJ's gonna teach him a few tricks.
I think it's gonna be some serious fucked up shit here. I mean, you want to talk about, and my wife makes a joke sometimes because I've made a joke about Ricochet one time, and she said, "Oh, gymnastical," and that was the verbiage we used for a while. This is gonna be gymnastical. It's gonna be great. Can't fucking wait. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. It's okay to have it when it's only one time on the card. Every match is gymnastical. You're in AEW territory.
Yeah, we'll talk about that when we get to some AEW talk.
Anything else? I just want to make sure I don't miss anything here. Anything at all? We had Aldis's weird marker fucking package with the tag team.
And your boys are the #1 contenders.
I know. Almost gave him my comeback, but then I thought, no, never mind.
Okay, that's what I want to say because I wasn't sure if maybe they were your comeback.
No. But I did get very excited. I said, "Holy shit, let's go!" But I know they're not going to win. I will lose my mind if they end up winning someday. Doesn't seem like it's anytime soon.
They're split titles. They're going to win them someday.
The problem is I'm actually nervous that they're going to get released before they get those tag titles. Like that hurts my feelings.
Especially when you have longer shows, they're like so perfect because they can just kind of fill time. So I think they do really like them. So I hope so. I think they're good for a while.
They just need to be on Raw.
You never know with contracts because that's a lot of the time in WWE. Like when you get the shocker releases, it's more of like, well, their contract is up and you got to make a decision if you want to pay bump them or just, get off the pot because you have 30 people ready to go in NXT. So I don't know, but so who knows what their contracting is, but I feel like they like them. They're using them a lot.
Here's hoping you're right, bud. Here's hoping you're right. I don't think there's anything else that we can
go to the Hope.
Sure. What the hell? Let's go to the Hope.
Glorious, you're my only hope in Nestlemania. Let's have a revolution because my hope is about AEW because I watched most of this thing. I had it on the side as I was watching other things on Sunday. Because there were a lot of matches I was excited for. And I think overall, like, if you're a viewer, there was a lot of fun stuff. Before I get to my actual hope, though, like, I think we would just figure out how to talk about AEW here, is that their pay-per-views are always tough because we always complain they have too many matches. So what they do is they up-pace it, which is, like, great because, like, match. But you run into the problem that I always run into with AEW where I feel like things lose impact because everyone is fucking doing insane shit. Like Mariah and Tony had one of the better matches of the night. Some people think could be the best, could be. It definitely was the best story-wise, and it was a beautiful ending and all that. But it's just like you do that match, and then later you have Kenny Omega take 8 million gajillion fucking spots of death and then win the title in an insane match. And immediately following that match, you have Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher have one of the most insane cage matches I have ever seen with the spots. And every match has fucking blood and insane kickouts and whatever. And just like, it's fun to watch, but at the same time, it's a lot to take in at once. And it's a little overwhelming, but it's also like, I feel like it sells everyone short. And the big thing that it does, and then I'm going to let you kind of vamp a little bit, is that it kills the main event. And we've seen it especially recently with their shows. Their main events have been getting murdered, especially when you have two older guys who is just, it's not going to be as an exciting match with Mox and Cope. I went to bed before this because I didn't even want to fucking deal with it because I knew it was going to suck, especially following all that other crazy shit. It's like you do a disservice to them. But mainly my hope, I'll kick it out here quickly, is that Mox needs to lose that title ASAP because I'm watching all these other matches and I'm just like, Mariah Tony could have main evented. Ospreay Fletcher could have main evented. Omega Takeshita could have main evented. Hell, MJF and Heyman was awesome. That kicked off the show. Ricochet with Swerve was great. That was the second or third match on the show. Like, there's all these good things. The main event shouldn't be the worst part of the show besides the pre-show. And, like, it is. So it's just like, the storyline sucks. The matches suck. They even did it, so we're probably going to get this match again because fucking they made Christian cash in, lose his fucking thing, so he eats the pin and Cope doesn't get pinned. What a fucking shit show. So it's just like, to me, it's like the crux of it. Like AEW has a lot of good things going on. They're never going to get out of their own way in terms of like all these other things that I've talked about. But one thing you can do is change your fucking champion and put it on someone like an Ospreay or an Omega or a Takeshita or a Swerve. Or fucking a Shocker or like a Ricochet or an MJF or a Heyman. Like, you have plenty of those guys. Mox doesn't need it. This storyline sucks. So hashtag JC knows. Hashtag she hopes I'm true. And that shit. But curiousness of your overall takes on what you saw about Revolution.
So the Tony Storm and Mariah May, I think I texted the group and I said, that's my match of the year. Like right now. I mean, we're really early. We're in March and I'm sure WrestleMania will trounce that and that's fine. This feud for me is an all-timer.
100%.
And the Hollywood ending in Hollywood with the stars out and like all the callbacks, they fucking taped their fists with mirrors and they were like going Japanese style at it. And I was just like, holy fucking shit. And the fact that, and like, I hate saying this because it's 2025, but when the women get to do shit that's fucking cool, I just think that that's awesome. Like, I'm glad we're at an equality like feeling here, but you need to do that shit because I feel like if the men did it, it's like, okay, that's cool, whatever. But when the women do it, you're like, they fucking let them do it, you know? And I think that's the best part. And of course, like Luther gets fucking trounced and I love that. And then like, just so many cool things that happened in that match. And I just thought it had Gaga, plenty of Gaga. And I kept thinking to myself, I saw the responses on Twitter as it was coming in. I watched the clips and whatever. And it's just fascinating to me because, and we don't do a good job on this podcast because we want AEW to do well. We just unfortunately feel disappointed when we watch the program.
So hard to talk about because it's so tough.
And people are like, oh, you're WWE homers. We're not. I swear to God, we're not because I like TNA. I like watching other shit. I like watching indie shit and all that other. But it's so interesting to me that if that match took place in WWE, Storm and Mariah, I think people would think that might have been the greatest thing they'd ever seen. But it's interesting where it is and what environment and how the tribalism is kind of around. It's fascinating to me because I don't even necessarily am an AEW hater. I just think they got a lot of shit to figure out, like you had, eloquently put. But this was undeniably, in my opinion, exactly what I was looking for and more. And I thought these women are fucking killing it. And you can say what you want about the steel cage match and how fucking incredible that was. You can say how great Takeshita and Omega was because it's a fucking Omega match and it's Omega. But I think I knew that those two matches were going to be okay. Like I figured that'd be great. I actually thought that the Mariah May and Tony match, there was a part of me that was like, there's no way they can live up to this. And they fucking blew it out of the water for me. So they
did it with storytelling. Like that's something AEW needs to look at. It's like, look at how effective this was for a division that you're so bad at booking, but it was effective because of what these two had. And obviously, like these two were made to fight. Like their chemistry is just, you saw it instantly when they were on screen together. So it's just like, they're going to be the best of friends, but also the greatest of enemies. It's like, you can't create that. That just happens. But yeah, no, it was beautiful. But again, it's just, to me, it's like, it's hard because then you have the whole rest of the night and it's like, well, it's not that it's forgotten, but it's just like, there's just so much stuff. It's like, you just can't wrap. There's a reason why a lot of the times, like the old school, it's like, hey, like, don't go take it away from my main event by blowing all the spots. So like, you know what I mean? Save some for me. But it's just like on AEW, no one saves anything for anyone. It's just like,
I will say the one thing that I'm interested in is the formula you just laid out with the whole, like, there's like 4 matches that could have main evented and the main event sucks. Yeah. I think when we get to All In Texas in July, I think maybe July, maybe August. I'm not 100% sure. It feels like it's an Okada Omega Battle of the Belts scenario. And that's probably not going to main event. So I feel like
they're in Texas. So you got to think about who the world champion could be if they win.
I imagine Hangman's going to have something there.
Hangman winning the title there makes sense to me.
But is Hangman against Moxley gonna, like, is Moxley really gonna hold on for that
I
long?
hope to God Moxley.
Jesus Christ.
Then,
But then you gotta have a heel because you gotta have
you got Swerve Mox next because Swerve's the number 1 contender now. Because
I don't know. It's so tough. So tough to call. I don't know. It's in my mind right now. That's all. That's in my mind. What are we doing now? I forget. You did your hope. Okay, my hope. Sorry, your hope was very long, and we kind of shoehorned a bunch of stuff.
Well, I figured we'll just do all of AEW now, so we don't have to do.
Because you don't have to do it at the end, of course, unless we go to the Dynamite. Can't wait. It'll be great.
You can shit on Adam Cole later if you want.
Oh, good. And his fucking Pikachu. Whatever. You heard about that, right? Okay. Anyway, my hope is very, very specific. As I was watching Friday Night SmackDown and Chelsea and her match against Michin, who was backing that thing up. And of course, things transpired. But as I was watching it, and it was a pretty decent match, I was watching Piper. Poor fucking Piper. And the more that I was thinking about this, I thought to myself, I could live in a world where Chelsea Green just disrespects Piper for so long that Piper snaps and Piper finally fucking just has enough of this bitch and just defeats her definitively. It takes that United States title because I think you can give it to, the Zelinas of the world. You can give it to all the other people who deserve it, I'm sure. But Piper really does deserve it, in my opinion. And she's been knocking it out of the park with a Secret Service character. I just think it's funny. but she's also a really good wrestler. And I think if there's something about Chelsea that feels, I mean, I don't know her from a hole in a wall, but it feels like she wants to give back to the people that she cares about. And I think she cares very much about Piper. So I would hope that Piper gets the chance because she's so well deserved. She hasn't gotten a world title run. I don't know if she ever will, but now that these other titles are in existence, people like her deserve her moments of shine. So I'm really hoping that she turns on Chelsea and finally just gets a moment because she deserves it. She's well deserved in a lot of aspects and in a unsung hero in the women's division.
Yeah, I mean, we know that they always can hit the pause and play with the Bianca KOD in her. That's always like an instant, like viral thing. But yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely a possibility in Nestlemania. But that's going to bring me to my comeback this week, which is going to go to Alba Fire because that does kind of open the door for Piper being less useful because now Chelsea has a second enforcer, a second member of her Secret Service team. We saw Alba Fire come out and help Chelsea retain against Michin. I love this because, you know, obviously Isla was released, her tag team partner, former champions together. It's like, well, Alba's an incredible wrestler. Everyone always says that. Like Bailey was hyper. I remember in XTK, she had one of the longest reigning championship reigns. She's incredible in the ring. She just ended up in a tag team in NXT because it was probably the easiest way to get her to the main roster. But it's like now, she's not someone I think they want to lose because she's so valuable. So I like the idea of this. And the reason why I like it even more is because Chelsea's the United States champion. She's Canadian and she has two, I believe they're both Scottish or from around there, gals as her Secret Service. So I kind of love that it's all non-Americans with this
the un-Americans.
Exactly. Yeah. But it's just, I'm glad Alba's being used. She's really good. I think it also kind of freshens this up too, because I think, like you say, like Piper has to take a lot of the grief to kind of set up for Chelsea because Chelsea's the heel and every babyface who wants to challenge has to fight Piper. It's like, well, now they have someone else they have to deal with. So I think it's kind of nice, but I like this audition. I'm happy for Alba because she deserves to be on TV.
Fair enough. Ready for a comeback?
Yes.
Don't call it a comeback. He's been here for a while. It just dawned on me as you were talking about something. So I let you lay out and then I'm like looking at something and going, oh yeah, I could use that. It's a very small thing, but you're going to go, what, when I say it? And then give me a exact, what?
What?
You want a Stone Cold burger? What? You ever seen Stone Cold ET, by the way? If you haven't seen that shit, go look that up. Type in, my brother found this a long time ago. Stone Cold ET. It's a guy in an ET mask dressed from up top. Just the mask is ET. The rest of his body is Stone Cold attire. So he calls himself Stone Cold ET and he goes through drive-thrus. It's fucking hysterical. I cannot recommend it enough. Stone Cold ET. Anyway, this is what I was thinking. I'm going to give my comeback to Drew McIntyre. They started off hot. They started off hot on SmackDown. He just fucking does his walk up and then sees Damian Priest and fucking just beats the shit out of him. Beats the ever-loving shit out of Damian Priest, lays him out at the beginning. And I assume it's because he got eliminated from the chamber. But later on, there's something that I really enjoyed from Drew McIntyre. It was a backstage segment where they said, you know, Drew was like, I'm in the right here. He cost me my shot at Mania. I don't have a shot in hell now because I can't go for either title. I didn't win the Royal Rumble. I didn't win the Elimination Chamber. And he's really pissed off at Damian Priest. Now, I'm not necessarily in love with the idea, but he's selling me on the match, which is a great job that he's doing here. But the other thing that I thought that I wanted to put out here for you folks is he said something that was really important in that promo. Drew McIntyre stated, I could have beaten John Cena, but no, Priest fucked it up for me. And that to me was super telling. I'm going to go out on a limb here, folks, and say something that I don't necessarily know if it's true, but I'm going to guess it right now. This is a Nestle prediction. I believe that after all of this, if Drew McIntyre thinks he can beat Cena, I think Cena is going to have his last match against Drew McIntyre, and Drew McIntyre is going to beat John Cena. That's what I think is going to happen.
Wow.
So you weren't hearing all of it, but I just said, he said in the promo, Priest fucked my shit up, and then I could have beat Cena, and I went, he's going to have Cena's last match, and Cena's going to put him over. That's my prediction. I don't know why. It just feels like it can't work with the heel thing going on right now. So I feel like towards the end, John Cena's going to do the favor at the end, say goodbye, kiss babies, all that shit. But I feel like McIntyre is going to beat Cena.
Interesting.
That's the last thing we see of John Cena.
Not sure I buy it, but we'll go to the big old finish Nestlemania on SmackDown next week. We talked about Charlotte and BFAB and how excited you are for it.
Oh,
we
fuck
also
off.
got Orton versus Mello. I'm all for that. And Mello said no springboards. I ain't taking another RKO. That was funny. DIY and the Street Profits for the tag titles. Winner will face Pretty Deadly eventually. Then we have Miz TV with Cody Rhodes. So at least Cody has someone else to talk to this time.
I mean, I'm excited for some of these things. I'm not going to get too excited because you never know what's going to happen. You never know. So I'm curious what your thoughts are on the Cody Miz thing, because it feels like they're buddies. I assume there'll be a random fucking match for no reason.
It's just someone for Cody to bounce his promos off of instead of just like what he's had to do the last 2 shows, which is just be out there by himself as we get ready for Cena on Monday. And the Miz always has stuff prepared where he'll make it entertaining. So
okay, fair enough.
We go to Raw and we have that Cody and Cena both at Raw. We don't know what they're doing, but we know they'll both be there. Excuse me. We have Jey Uso versus Austin Theory. We have Dakota Kai versus Ivy Nile. We have Penta versus Ludwig in a no-holds-bar match, super hot fire. And then Braun and Finn for the IC title.
The Braun and Finn thing is going to be interesting to me. I'll be curious to see what happens. I kind of love what's happening here with the Cena stuff because I feel like I want him to show up via satellite now that I said it. Not to be right, but I just think it could be just a nice little fuck you to everybody. And that way you wouldn't have to hear music. You wouldn't have to see a presentation. It's just kind of, he's not where he's supposed to be. Maybe he'd be backstage. What do you think about that? Does that still count to you if he has to be out in the crowd? Or
if he's there, maybe they do one of those things where he's in like a luxury box or something. I don't know, but it just, if you don't want the entrance spoiled, but it feels like if he's there, he has to be in front of the crowd because it's the first time the crowd's going to really get to let him know since Chamber how they feel.
Do you feel like it's weird if they just automatically have him cut a promo and be like, I sold my soul because I wanted the 17th championship? Do you feel like waiting is important here? Like, or do you think there has to be some type of wrinkle going forward?
There has to be something here because just his dates are limited. So after this, I don't know when we'll see him again. It could be a while. So I don't think they need to give it all to us, but like there has to be, I would like there to be something meaningful so we have something to chew on before, you know what I mean? Before he returns. Who knows? Maybe The Rock can fill the gaps at some point too. But it's just like, I feel like he has to give us something to chew on or else like we're really just floating out here and Cody has to do all the work.
Well, he's been doing most of the work anyway, so he is the captain. That's what it is.
I'm the captain now.
Anything else?
Well, I mean, I'm excited for Ludwig Penta. Good Lord. That's going to be no holds
nice.
barred. Whew. My other question, do you think we see Phoenix before WrestleMania or do we save that for the Raw after Mania?
I think they're going to save it for Mania.
At Mania? Interesting.
Yeah. Because here's the thing. I think Mania will have enough of a hodgepodge of real hardcore fans that they'll know who Phoenix is. You could wait for Mania after. I
feel
Raw
like
after.
I'd wait for the Raw after. Just because.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. I just know that like to me, debuting at Mania is a little bit cooler than debuting on the Raw after Mania, although they're both pretty cool. I don't know. I'm hoping that Rey Fenix does something cool. I just love Rey Fenix. I love when he does the catwalk kick. I love that shit so much. I wish I could do that. I love that move. I'll probably fall on my face the minute I go on the top turnbuckle, but it's fine. It's fine. I don't really have anything for AEW. Surprise, surprise. It just says we hear from MJF. We hear from, I think, Kenny Omega. They don't even fucking want to hear from John Moxley. Your own fucking programming, your own advertising doesn't put anything about Cope or anything else. It's just Kenny Omega and MJF so far. That's all they have. I'm sure maybe as we get off, they'll probably put more. We don't know about. He loves making matches. I don't see one single fucking match on here, folks. So here we are.
Well, he has to worry about his soccer club over the weekend. So.
Well, they all suck, don't they?
And, free agency started for the Jags yesterday. So he's probably, a little busy pretending to help there. So. Shout out the Jags for signing Jordan Lewis from the Cowboys, who absolutely fucking sucks. I'm so glad he's gone. Thank you, Jacksonville, for taking that piece of shit off my team.
Wow. Okay. All right. I think we're done, unless you have anything else you want to talk about.
That's all I got, baby.
All right. Well, on that note, thank you for listening and watching the Jobber Knocker podcast. We'll be back next week on Wednesday at 8 p.m. with some more Jobber Knockery.